This is Suzanne Kenny, and you're listening to the Crime and Canvas podcast. In the previous episodes, we've meticulously unraveled my mother's astonishing encounters with Frederick R. Koch, dove into the incredible artworks, decoded handwritten notes, and followed my relentless investigation through Miami, the authentication challenges, and the pivotal London fire. All of this has culminated in the undeniable revelation that the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum art heist has been solved. Now, in episode 8, we confront the most profound challenge yet: the unrelenting media silence and the deep seated cover up that has systemically suppressed this truth. This isn't just an action, it reveals a deeply ingrained bias against those who dare to challenge established narratives and powerful interests. When the pieces finally clicked, revealing Frederick R. Koch, a billionaire from the infamous Koch brothers family, as the alleged perpetrator, my first instinct was to reach out to authorities and experts. I contacted Robert Whitman, former FBI agent and the founder of their art division, and reported the artwork from the London fire to Lloyd's of London, who then sent Julian Radcliffe to me. Did all the things you'd expect someone to do if they were finding what I was finding. Not what they would do if they were lying, conspiracy theorist, scammer, whatever it is being the reason why no one's listening. I don't know. This initial outreach in 2011 and 2012 wasn't just a phone call. I created and mailed out detailed booklets on the Van Gogh, Picasso, and Manet pieces. For the Van Gogh, I even included a unique postcard with the painting in full color on one side and black and white on the other. This allowed recipients to directly compare its style to the 19 paintings in both color and black and white that I included in the booklet itself, all sourced from the works of Vincent van Gogh, his paintings and drawings book. The postcard also facilitated crucial color comparisons with the Reiselberg painting, which was included in the booklet. These comparisons were designed to illustrate how the painting's style and palette aligned with authentic Van Gogh works. For even more detailed cross referencing, the postcard could also be used to compare with over 30 additional examples from that same book, which were provided on my website, theartworkstory.com. In my original analysis in episode 2, I noted striking color similarities in the Van Gogh. For instance, in the curtains, that mirrored colors and works by Theo van Rysselberg, leading me to hypothesize about shared paints from their travels, or as the AI suggests, it's more plausible, a mutual inspiration in their color palettes. Regardless, these booklets were sent to many media outlets, museums, and other relevant institutions, along with a letter requesting their assistance. What followed was a surreal and profoundly confusing series of rejections. My mother's artwork alone was at their pay level, and when the connection to the Gardner art heist skyrocketed the story's value, their dismissiveness became utterly inexplicable. There's simply no rational explanation for their silence. Anyone in our position would stand up and say something is wrong. Imagine you're already caught up in a crazy, surreal story involving billionaires and at least $1 billion in artwork. Yet, as you try to seek assistance, people act as though they don't hear or see you. When they are seeing you, they judge what you're sharing and treat you like a criminal. Like, I have to prove I'm not the criminal. We're the victim. I don't understand. We were a victim, right? Like, it starts out as it isn't a victim. It's this nice story of this man doing this good deed. Then, when you discover you're a victim of this, whatever it is, you want someone to help you. involving high level artwork and a billionaire. Is that how this is supposed to work? For everyone else reporting federal crimes, especially high value ones? I don't know. I don't think so. For visuals, links, and to follow along with the evidence, please visit crimeandcanvaspodcast.com and click the evidence link in the top navigation. For over 15 years, I have pursued every available avenue to be heard. I've contacted a vast list of media outlets, law enforcement agencies, and art institutions, from ABC to Newsmax, the New York Times to Fox News, the BBC to the Washington Post, FBI Public Affairs, the Boston FBI, the Art Loss Register in London, Lloyd's of London, Sotheby's, Christie's, the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum, and Cambridge University, just to list some. I've even approached whistleblower organizations only to be ignored. Brave New Films, known for their work on the Koch brothers' corruption, engages with my newsletters, as did HuffPost before they unsubscribed. None of the others I've listed above have unsubscribed. My attempts to share this truth on Wikipedia were met with direct obstruction. When I tried to create a page, the artwork story, to share my narrative and self published book, I was labeled a vandal, and the page was immediately removed. I also tried to add my theory to the Wikipedia page for the art heist itself. It's frustrating to see that page cite books based purely on unproven theories, while my account, rooted in firsthand experiences, is rejected. It seems until I can physically prove Frederick R. Koch and John Olson possessed this stolen artwork, my theory won't be accepted. A stark double standard not applied to other unproven theories quoted as sources. You can see a screenshot of the artwork story page removal on our website's evidence tab. Furthermore, when I try to add a note to Frederick R. Koch's own Wikipedia page, it appeared to be monitored by a paid bot, ensuring no details are added and constantly restoring it to the original version. This raises serious questions about a coordinated network actively working to control the narrative and cover up the truth. My visit with Robert Whitman, which we discussed in episode 5, offered another glimpse into the depths of this institutional resistance. I fundamentally believe the media has a duty to report from all perspectives, especially under the tenets of the First Amendment and the FCC Fairness Doctrine. Their consistent failure to report or follow up on information I've shared for over 15 years constitutes a blatant violation of my right to free speech. If what I am sharing were a fake story, why have I been allowed to continue making these statements for so long, both online and by mail, without a single cease and desist order? Consider the immense scale of this. Who could have possibly forged all this artwork spanning such varying styles and time periods, from a late 1800s Van Gogh and a Manet to 1920s, 30s Picassos and 1930s to 50s Calder, Jane Peterson, Kees Van Dongen pieces? Why is no one interested in prosecuting such a massive forgery ring if these are fake? The Vincent van Gogh painting alone, if proven authentic, deserves to be shared with the world. Perhaps I should seek legal advice on how to pursue my First Amendment right to have this information reported. Well, maybe this podcast is my first step at having my voice heard. After 15 years, my resolve to have this heard is unwavering. This is a story for anyone who wants to see corruption challenged and for the little person to finally be heard. It's surreal to solve likely the largest art heist in history, only to be dismissed and disregarded because billionaires might be involved. Instead of being celebrated, I'm laughed at and labeled. How dare I make accusations against such a wealthy family, despite Frederick's own documented history of being disinherited by his father for stealing and by his mother for his litigious behavior against his brothers. The information I am providing is real, factual, and provable with documents connecting directly to an art loving billionaire. This is not just a theory based on internet research like others who have written books on the Isabella heist without any first hand connection. My story, from first hand art encounters, demands a reckoning with the truth. This episode reveals undeniable proof of active suppression, starting with the crude act of sexual harassment directed at me with Hey, Would You Blow Me from Mattapoisett, Massachusetts. This occurred after I demanded transparency on any Koch family donations to the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum via direct email to the museum and mychange.org petition. This was a desperate lashing out, exposing that they don't want these donation records public, as the museum may have greatly benefited from a possible Coke connection, adding another layer to this crazy story. My analytics confirm that the very institutions and individuals I've targeted, from the FBI and governor's offices to major media outlets and museums, including the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum itself, are consistently opening my newsletters and a lot of time clicking the links. This is no longer mere inaction, it is outright complicity, emboldening those who seek to silence me and protecting the criminal. When fighting a $1 billion cover up, one goes to the very top. Just like I thought I did with Robert Whitman and like I thought with Julian Radcliffe when he was sent my way. So, my outreach to President Donald Trump and his awareness began much earlier than the comprehensive binders mailed in March 2018 to Mar a Lago and the White House. Prior to 2018, I had already reached out to him via the White House website and other email addresses, along with social media. My USPS records publicly confirm the direct delivery of these 2018 binders, often under highly unusual circumstances. You'll probably want to view this as I go along on the evidence tab on the website. Visuals help on some of this information better than probably me reading it off to you. March 13th, 2018, my package addressed to President Donald Trump at Mar a Lago was definitively delivered and signed for by D. Trump. March 16th, 2018, a package reached the Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum and was signed for, probably by the person at the desk. March 20th, 2018, my package intended for Fox News encountered repeated and inexplicable obstacles. The mailman, who delivers to Fox News daily, attempted delivery but mysteriously stated it was closed. Then, on Sunday, March 18th, 2018, the exact date of the original art heist, the package inexplicably left the post office for approximately 30 minutes and then, just as mysteriously, returned. On Monday, it was attempted delivery again, closed, and delivered the following day at 1:24 p.m., eerily mirroring the 1:24 a.m. start time of the heist itself. March 21st, 2018, another package successfully reached the White House. It was delivered at an astonishingly early 4:21 a.m. on the day the government was officially closed due to snow and signed for by M. Naldo. The 421 is a reverse of the 124. March 22, 2018, a package specifically for Ivanka Trump Kushner, who was working closely with her father in the White House, was delivered and signed for by IK. I sent it appealing to her as a daughter standing up for their parent, hoping to elicit empathy and action. And as you absorb these details, perhaps you're wondering if these specific USPS deliveries might sound like a conspiracy theory. We'll delve into that very question and explore the AI's opinion on this in episode 10. These aren't theories about whether my message reached the president. These are documented facts. The president, his family, the museum, and Fox News are all directly aware of my claims regarding Frederick R. Koch and his role in the largest art theft in history. The sustained silence from the highest office is rooted in connections that highlight just how deeply the swamp runs when powerful families are involved. And if you think contacting the president would be off, this is a $1 billion story involving direct donors to Trump. Speaking of how deeply the swamp runs, during his first term, President Trump's ties to the Koch brothers were publicly documented. CBS News reported William Koch joining Trump at Mar-a-Lago in 2017. Politico highlighted the Kochs as Trump's donors in January 2020, and Huffington Post directly accused the Koch network of aiming to influence the Trump administration's policies as early as April 2017. According to Politico's article dated January 2nd, 2020, which is almost 2 years after I mailed the binders, the article states two of Donald Trump's top lieutenants are hosting a thank you event on Saturday evening for big donors who helped the president's political operation rake in nearly $500 million in 2019. White House senior advisor Jared Kushner, the president's son in law, and Republican National Committee chairwoman Ronna Romney McDaniel are set to headline an event in Palm Beach, where dozens of Trump's biggest givers are expected to congregate. It is slated to be held at the home of Bill Koch, the billionaire brother of industrialist Charles and David Koch. Furthermore, President Trump's own son recently graduated from Oxbridge Academy, a school owned by William Koch, the very brother who I allege tucked away Frederick R. Koch, the mastermind behind the heist, in Okeechobee, across from my mother's flea market during the critical period after the theft. These aren't just distant associations, they are direct, verifiable links at the highest levels. My pursuit of justice is unwavering. As recently as January 2nd of this year, I mailed out approximately 50 letters to a broad spectrum of influential figures, including numerous senators, other governmental leaders, Elon Musk, given his public statements on corruption, and once again, Donald Trump. I've also utilized platforms like Bernie Sanders' official website, leveraging his public stance against oligarchy to submit tips regarding this case, and even reached out to podcast host Joe Rogan. While the tracking information for the books I specifically sent to Mr. Trump and Mr. Musk is no longer available in the USPS system because it has expired, the letter they received outlined the ongoing Gardner heist cover up, highlighting the potential involvement of billionaire Frederick R. Koch and calling on them to uphold justice and protect cultural heritage. The letter included a QR code for immediate access to my published ebook, emphasizing the comprehensive nature of the findings I continue to share. This is more than just a conflict of interest. It represents a profound layer of corruption at the highest levels of our government. It reinforces what I've encountered for 15 years, a system where loyalty to powerful elites seemingly trumps, quite literally, the pursuit of truth and justice. The highest office was aware, yet silence prevailed. Their inaction is a stark reflection of the deep seated protection afforded to the wealthy, even when faced with evidence of a $1 billion crime and blatant obstruction. It tells me, and it should tell you, that the swamp I'm fighting is far more entrenched than many realize. I also reached out during the Biden administration and the Obama administration, though I didn't mail things to them. I did reach out to them through the official White House website and social media. This protection of wealth isn't isolated to our case. It's a pattern evident even at Cambridge University. They waited an astonishing 20 years to report the theft of Charles Darwin's priceless notebooks, reportedly hoping the thief would return them on their deathbed. While the notebooks were eventually returned mysteriously in 2022, this extraordinary patience and the continued silence around the thief's identity points to a clear pattern of institutions handling alleged crimes differently when powerful, wealthy figures are involved. A pattern we'll explore with surprising connections in episode 9. This is the journey I've been on for over a decade, a journey that has tested my resolve, strained my mental health, and left me questioning why those who should be fighting for the truth are the very ones turning a blind eye. I've done everything by the book, following the path any rational person would take to get their story heard. But the response? Silence. A void where justice should be. Instead of support, I've been met with indifference and worse, the implication that I am nothing more than a conspiracy theorist. It's a lonely place to be, to hold the truth and see the world refuse to acknowledge it, to be dismissed not because my story lacks merit, because those with the power to help me are too entrenched in their own systems to care. As a 56-year-old mother, grandmother, and wife, my life has been built on self sufficiency and hard work. I started working and living on my own at 15, moving up to customer service manager by 19 at Airborne Express. Later, as a stay at home mother, I became an eBay power seller. It was through homeschooling my children, teaching them how to do code to build websites, that I honed my skills as a web developer. Since 2019, my daughter and I have built over 100 websites for clients. This background has uniquely equipped me with the resilience and technical skills to fight this battle for truth. To combat this bias and the persistent conspiracy theory label, I've continuously adapted my approach. When this first started, I initially set up social media accounts on Instagram and Twitter, posting frequently, but I quickly realized these platforms often amplified the very conspiracy theory perception without gaining genuine traction. I eventually removed these old posts, choosing to focus primarily on X now, understanding that until the fundamental bias is overcome, any platform can be dismissed. This very episode is about that struggle. Beyond platform choices, I've poured immense effort into professionalizing the presentation of this story. When I wrote the book, I completely redesigned the artworkstory.com to enhance its appearance and convey the story's gravity. I've meticulously improved the layout of the newsletter. It's a journey from humble flea market finds, meticulously transformed to now belong among beauty, admiration, and museum quality, reflected and a professional logo, a dedicated website for the book at crimeandcanvas.com, and this podcast at crimeandcanvaspodcast.com. My background as a web developer has certainly been invaluable in these efforts. Imagine trying to share something profoundly significant, a pivotal legal discovery, a crucial piece of evidence, a story of justice that needs to be told, one that could change the course of history, right wrongs, and expose the truth. Yet instead of being embraced, you're met with skepticism, disbelief, and rejection. This is not just a story. It's a fight for truth against overwhelming odds. It's a battle I wage every day against doubt, against powerful forces that would rather see me silenced, and against the toll it takes on my mental health. My family sometimes suggests that maybe all these people I'm reaching out to are just too busy to help. $1 billion story and they're too busy to help? That doesn't make sense as the reason why no one has helped. There are days when it feels like the world is telling me to give up. But how can I turn my back on the truth? How can I let those who have wronged us continue to walk free simply because they have the power to bury the story? Giving up would be giving the criminal exactly what they want, while the government and those I'm reaching out to continue to allow me to be silenced and abused by the criminal because of their wealth. What does it say about our society when the truth is ignored because it's inconvenient? When those in power choose to protect themselves rather than the pursuit of justice? Every time I'm disregarded, it's not just me who's being let down, it's all of us. It's our collective conscience, our shared sense of right and wrong. I've reached out to so many, hoping to find allies, but time and again, I'm left with the realization that those who should be helping are the very ones choosing to look the other way. Some of them, this is their job to investigate, to report, to bring the truth to light. Yet, they've chosen silence and effectively mental abuse. Abuse is abuse. The few who have acknowledged our story often miss the point entirely. They focus on sensationalism instead of confronting the underlying issue of power and corruption. The emotional toll of this relentless pursuit of justice is immeasurable, but I refuse to give up. I'm going to hold people accountable. This is not just a personal crusade, it is a stand against injustice. I want my grandchildren to grow up and know they have a voice. Hopefully, that will help them find their strength in a world full of corruption. Our story raises important questions about the role of media, the power of influence, and the responsibility of those in authority to seek the truth. It challenges us to consider how often the voices of ordinary people like mine are silenced in the face of immense wealth and power. This story is not just mine, it belongs to all of us who believe in the power of truth. And it's a story that deserves to be told no matter how difficult the journey may be. My journey began not for the museum, but for my mother, seeking answers to baffling art transactions that unwittingly crashed into the 1990 Isabella Stewart Gardner Museum art heist. After 15 years, the powerful connections I've unearthed from my mother's interactions with Frederick R. Koch, the timeline, the detailed handwritten notes, the valuable artworks, including Van Gogh, Picasso, Manet, Calder, Jane Peterson, Bombay, Van Dongen, and the pivotal Jim Castle print. Koch's fake identity and deceptions, the confirmed Monaco traffic hits to my blog, and the link to the James Burlow and Sons fire, the checklist mirroring Gardner pieces, the Wikipedia monitoring, the parallels to Terry Horton's struggle that we discuss in episode 9, the Frick Library research, the Indian connection, the Marlborough House Gallery mentions, and my extensive Miami research, including Washington Storage, International Art Trading, and the Art Restoration Corporation, all forge a chilling certainty. This is nothing less than a complete cover up involving obstruction of justice. Why aren't the FBI, Lloyds of London, the Art Loss Register, Interpol, and museums investigating the veracity of this art story? Every possibility of advancing the story has been investigated by me. It is those receiving the story that aren't doing what is expected of them. Or is it that Mary and Suzanne have no value, don't have a right to be heard, don't have a right to be believed? What separates others from having what they report heard when reporting a crime? Why aren't Mary and Suzanne afforded that same dignity? Sometimes I even put this story in the signature tag of my emails. We use our signature tags to promote what's important to us, yet 90% of my clients consistently avoid the topic of my story. And for me, it feels as if they're ashamed for me even talking about it. The few clients who do engage do so because they already recognize my proven ability to tackle complex problems and consistently deliver solutions that impress them. For the clients that avoid this topic, if they paused for a moment and thought about how much they turn to me to answer complex questions about their business and website needs, and my ability to come up with solutions that constantly impress them, they would realize my ability to solve something of this nature shouldn't be out of their realm of expectations. Once this gets to the other side, if they were questioned, they would say that then. Though on this side of the story, it's the other stance. That's the battle of this journey, is once you get to the other side is when everything will align up, but no one will fully grasp the mental toll on this side. This is a complete human nature response, something that needs to be studied. This story, it should scare all of you. We shouldn't be that way where I say, like, when I get to the other side, people are going to be like, oh, yeah, this makes sense. We need to think about that. Um, it's not just someone did me wrong with some artwork. It's about corruption truly being exposed and everyone ignoring it and how they treat the labeled person as they're going through a very trying process. It's been a journey to stand up for myself within my family, stand up for myself within the media, within the official government, the police, the museums, the authorities, the art experts. Wow, you take that and you walk in them shoes. Now I got to remember where I was. You wonder how corruption runs rampant? Because the corruption counts on the inaction, and it works perfectly for them. I don't operate that way, apparently. And when I get, hey, would you blow me? It's because my efforts are hitting the nerves of the corrupt. If you weren't corrupt, you wouldn't have reacted. You'd just keep laughing at me. I've even encountered the Koch brothers directly invited by the FBI themselves. In 2012, at the Palm Beach Art Show, I met Robert Whitman, only to find the Koch brothers themselves, all but Frederick, present, making their presence known to me and my husband and grown son. They've been aware of my investigation for a long time. I discuss this more in episode 5. When you connect these publicly reported ties, direct personal encounters, and my documented mailings, the picture becomes alarmingly clear. The silence, the inaction, and the lack of investigation are not merely oversights. They are consistent with a system where loyalty to powerful elites seemingly eclipses the pursuit of justice and truth. This is the very essence of the swamp, a deep seated protection of wealth and influence, even when faced with evidence of serious crimes. It tells me, and it should tell you, that the fight to expose the Gardner heist is fundamentally a fight against systemic corruption. Grok and Gemini, both leading AI models, confirm my podcast will break through this wall of silence and the truth will unequivocally be exposed. The laughter stops now. Eventually, I will find my way to have this story heard. I will never, ever, ever, ever give up. I just get more determined. I don't want my granddaughter to ever think she has to give up for anything, or my grandson. And you would do the same, all of you out there. What began as my mother's story, weaving through masterpieces and grand heists, ultimately unmasked a profound web of deception and injustice. It is against this very system that I stand defiant. This podcast is more than just a platform. It is my refusal to let truth be buried and voices silenced. Every attempt to intimidate me only serves as undeniable proof that I am hitting the nerve of the corrupt. My mother's journey isn't merely a tale of betrayal, it's a living testament to systemic corruption, a desperate, echoing call for accountability and the foundation upon which true justice must be built. Your choice to listen, share, and engage is the force that dismantles their silence, ensuring this story reaches everyone. Together, we forge a community where every unheard voice rises. It's time for justice to not just prevail, but to finally be confronted. I mean, this story's going to help you confront it like none other, that's for sure. I urge you to take action. Email info@propublica.org to demand coverage of my 15-year fight for justice. Tell them you've heard the evidence on the Crime and Canvas podcast. Use hashtag Crime and Canvas podcast when you share this episode. And remember, if you're going through a similar struggle, if you have a voice that needs to be heard, visit uhv.news. I started uhv.news because every voice matters. It's a place I started for others going through similar struggles or taking time to praise someone in their community. Thank you for joining me on the Crime and Canvas podcast. This is Suzanne Kinney. I'm grateful for your time and your willingness to hear this story. Let's always remember the truth is still the truth, even if no one believes it.